I know it's still Halloween still, and I'm dropping a back-to-back video about another album that I wish to talk about. But again, I just wanted to simply call on here real quick and just talk about another album that it only makes sense for me to talk about since it's Halloween after all. I just came out of my job just now, as you can see from Los Polos Hermanos, and I figured that I wanted to talk about a project that not only changed my life, but really paved the road to like how I would be growing up from middle school all the way to like high school, college years, and that is Eminem's Relapse album. Which, sorry if it's like a little bright there, but yeah, Eminem's Relapse album. This album right here is truly, in my view, like out of all the Eminem albums that you can name out that I could have talked about today, Relapse has always been a special type of an album for me because this was the album that not only got me into Eminem in the first place, but this was the first physical copy I've ever bought. So this bad boy right here, this is the actual first physical copy I have, and I still have to this day. I've not rebought like a second copy of this album. I'm not even buying like the Relapse refill, which I understand is like a deluxe edition of Relapse. But without further ado, Relapse by Eminem is a project that, like I said, really changed my life for the better because growing up, like at least like up until elementary school, I was always like the shy, really so intersocial introvert that I was. I didn't want to interact with everyone. But Eminem's Relapse was definitely a project that at the time I really grow and appreciate. And at the time, I was even like conflicted if people were wondering and people saying that this was like Eminem's worst discography. Because again, when this came out back in 2009, a lot of people didn't like it, a lot of people didn't appreciate it. And I remember when I first heard like the big tracks like Beautiful and We Made You and Crack a Ball by 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, a lot of people were saying that, like, hey, these are not good songs, they're not really a great project. What's the help of? But fast forward like roughly like a couple years into the making, when artists like Tyler the Creator was already blowing up, and there are already people out there that have gone to love and appreciate the album for what it is. And like I said, I was one of the very few people that saw like the diamond in the rough of Relapse because again, this album is absolutely incredible and is a project that really got me to Eminem in the first place. And ultimately, like I think it goes without saying this too, and I know this has been said by many Eminem fans over the years, but if I didn't listen to Eminem's Relapse, I honestly wouldn't be here right now because past the point of like elementary school and going into like my middle school years, specifically like around 2012, 2013, that I consider to be like the darkest years of my life because I was in such a weird place, and transitioning from elementary school to middle school was really rough because it was like you went from a kid to where now you have to snap back to reality and realize that you're no longer a kid anymore. You're a grown ass teenager that needs to learn how to become an adult. And it was such a hard transition for me at the time that Eminem's Relapse was really the one project that really got me through those rough times. And honestly, if this album wasn't in my listening threshold in the first place, I honestly wouldn't be here. Because there were moments where I was even contemplating about suicide and a lot of deep, depressing thoughts back then in middle school. But I digressed, and now, many years later, I'm here, alive and well, and I'm doing so much better than ever before. So, again, Eminem's Relapse is a project that a lot of people tend to like wish they listened to when they first heard of it. But this is a project that I feel like is like a top five best Eminem album of all time too. It's also a pretty like slept on album for people who nowadays unfortunately don't respect Eminem given his current discography that's been pumped out as of late. But back in 2009, around this time period, especially after the 5 year gap between Encore and this album Relapse, it was pretty much a pretty big wait for sure. And to me, I think a lot of Eminem hardcore fans will agree that 2009 Eminem with Relapse was the last time we would see like the old Eminem that we come to know and love from the early aughts of the 2000s. And it's not surprised to why, because this album from front to back is absolutely amazing, has a really cool, dark concept, which is similar to what I talked about with like the 3 6 Mafia and Myth 6000 album that I dropped earlier today. But on top of it, like Eminem's Relapse is like lyrically and profoundly like amazing, and like even though like the main criticism of this project to this day is like the accents that Eminem went on with this Relapse album. Honestly, the accents really play a pretty big role into this project that doesn't really like persuade and like really overstay its welcome half the time. Like this project to me was just like really like the last time we saw Eminem in like his full on creativeness before we would get his true follow up comeback, which was Recovery next year of that year. But point being is that this project is filled with amazing, amazing highlights, and I wish to shout them out more or less from the amazing 3 a.m. to Insane, Hello, We Made You, which had the iconic music video that I'm pretty sure stars your favorite corn star in that video. Medicine Ball, Stay Wide Awake, Old Time's Sake, Must Be the Ganja, the hit song Beautiful, Crack a Bottle, and Underground, which is easily like one of the best songs off of this project. Now, obviously, there is probably like at least there's to this day like one low point off of this album, and that's Bagpipes from Baghdad. Which again, to be fair, like the lyricism in this song is really great. It's amazing. It's just the production from Bagpipes of Baghdad is not super good. It hasn't aged all too well, but it's clear that Bagpipes of Baghdad was created toward which was a strip diss towards Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey at the time, and then of course he would then respond with another diss song after Mariah Carey dropped her Obsessed single within that same year with The Warning. And with that being said, like almost every song on this album is just really good, really amazing, and is worth talking about. And for me, like it's kind of funny that like yes, I could also talk about the Marshmallows LP or the Slim Shady LP or even the Eminem Show because arguably those three projects from Eminem's early discography are the projects that everyone's gonna say is the best Eminem album of all time. But there's just something about this Relapse album that every time I come back to this project, it always get leaves me thinking like, man, this is such a special and one of a kind album that I feel like it's hard to really replicate in Eminem's discography. We saw a few flashes of that in the pan recently with like with the Music to Be Murdered by album rollout, but nothing can compare to Relapse, man. And to me, this is just a special one of a kind project that I will never ever forget, and I will continue listening to for years on. So yeah, simple want to talk about it. Happy Halloween, everyone, and that's it. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.